I'm Olivia. I read a lot of books, started playing piano when I was teeny tiny, and I'm also obsessed with Laufey. And this year, I'm on a quest to read more 5-star books, so this week we're going to read Laufey's book recs and see what we think. So to do this, I'm going to be going off of Laufey's book club recs. And to be honest, it was a little hard to find all of the books that have been on the list, so I'll be going off of what I saw on Instagram and Goodreads. But it looks like this is the list. Okay, so going through them, I've actually already read 3 of them: Babel, Little Women, and The Talented Mr. Ripley. I mean, these are great picks. I absolutely loved Babel and Little Women. The Talented Mr. Ripley, I did think was solid. It just wasn't my favorite. It wasn't on the same level as the others. So far, this is looking like a really promising list. I really want to pick a couple of books here that will help me get a better understanding of the types of books that she likes. Like, some of these books are really popular, like Hamnet and Atonement, but I'm a lot more curious about these books that I've never even heard of before, like Kitchen and Burial Rites. So I think we have to read those this week. And then I want to add one more. I'm kind of thinking that we should go with The Midnight Library, because I saw somewhere that she actually called this one of the most impactful books to her. So I feel like we kind of have to read it. Okay, great. Now that we've picked these books, let's get to reading. Okay, so the books have been read, so let's talk about them. First up, we have Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. And this book is so good. It's definitely more of a chill read, like it's quiet, but despite that, I still found it super engaging and powerful. And so it's inspired by a true story of a young woman who is accused of murder in Iceland in the 1800s. And according to history, there's actually very little known about this young woman. And so Kent is sort of reimagining these events and giving a voice to this woman, which I find as a concept very interesting. Laufey, of course, is Icelandic, so love it, I see what you're doing. But it actually gets more interesting because the pastor in this story, in real life, is actually one of Laufey's ancestors and shares the same name as her father. And the pastor's name is this, I'll put it on screen, but goes by Toti. I'm probably totally messing that up, but maybe her father also goes by that too, I'm not sure. But anyway, I loved this book. I rated it 5 stars. The characters were super compelling, and honestly, just the way the story unravels is just really captivating. And next we have Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. This is a story about these 2 main characters, one of whom starts off losing her grandmother, and the other, who also knew that grandmother, he and his mom are sort of there to catch her as she's struggling with this loss. And it's a story about grief, struggling with it, but also the kindness and beauty that can come from it. So this is a book that was originally published in Japan in the 1980s and was published in English in the 1990s. So notably, it was written a while ago now, and when it was released, it did receive some critical acclaim for the directness in the writing, as well as this cast of characters that are quirky and that you just fall in love with. I definitely do see these things, like the characters are very unique and lovable. And so reading some of the context behind this book was really interesting. But I think for me, reading this with a contemporary lens, I thought it was a solid read, but just maybe not my favorite. And lastly, we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And I have to say, I have a confession. I didn't think I was gonna like this book. I actually almost didn't even want to read it because I've seen this book on social media before, and I heard that a few people didn't really like it. But then when I saw Laufey's glowing review of this book, I was like, well, fine, I guess if we're doing her book recs, we have to do this one. And in her post, she says, this is one of the most impactful books she's read. The story forces you to reconsider how thankful you are for your current reality, while also forcing you to think positively about all the unique potential that you possess. This is a book fit for dreamers. I mean, that's pretty glowing praise. But now, after I read it, I have to admit, I was wrong. Laufey, you're totally right. This book is actually so good, And I think it turned out to be actually very good for me. So this is like a multiverse type book where the main character, Nora, finds herself at the Midnight Library, which is this in-between place between life and death, where she can essentially try out different versions of her life. They're different in the sense that she can essentially go back and undo certain decisions that she made, not necessarily pick a certain outcome, if that makes sense. And so ultimately this is a book about regret, about how often we can think, oh, if I just did X, then I'd be rich. Or if I just got Y, then I'd be happy, and then I'd be enough. This book explores the idea that sometimes what makes life worth living isn't the list of fancy accomplishments you have to your name or all of the nice things that you have in your home, but actually just the perspective that we have on life and making decisions for ourselves that fit our own set of values. And this is what got me, because I wouldn't necessarily say that I am a regretful person, but I would say that I grew up with a rather toxic relationship with work and achievement. Like thinking that those are the things that give me value as a person. And it's actually something that I've been trying to work on, but I feel like reading this book actually made me look at myself in a new way. And I'm like, this is why I read. So personally, I loved this book. So I have to agree, Laufey. I do also think that this is a super impactful book that I think a lot of people would benefit from reading. But yeah, overall, she has great taste in books. I mean, is anyone surprised? But also, please add more books to your book club, Laufey. But that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.